Hey Vaznasenko, welcome to week 5 of your language arts class. This week, today you will watch this video, part 1, and you will start working on your assessment. I will also go over some other things you'll be doing in the next couple days, but you don't need to do them today, but you can review this video if you need to later. Tomorrow you're going to read the story for this week, which is James Who from Georgia Bragg's How They Croaked, and you will answer those questions that relate to that story and do the mentor sentence, which I will review a little bit in this video, so you might want to come back to this video tomorrow. And then Wednesday you will watch the second video, part 2 for week 5, and I will go over how to do the argumentative paragraph with you, and then you will be able to follow along and add to that. And then on Thursday, you will finish any of your assignments, any work that you have. And Friday, you're going to do iReady and submit your assessment as well as your notebook. So just looking at your notebook here, this is what I'm talking about. We have week 5. This is the reading for this week. However, you will also have a short article you need to read for your assessment. I will go over with you momentarily. These are your discussion questions, mentor sentence, okay? And then we have an argumentative paragraph here. All right. So the assessment this week is going to be on the summary notes. This is a skill that we've been practicing for a few weeks now. You've done it 3 or 4 times. I've given you hopefully some pointers in our one-on-one meetings and on your notebooks. And now you will be assessed on it. So if you want to pause right now and open the assessment so you can sort of review it and look through it together with me. All right, so now that you have your assessment open, it looks like this. And you will notice that you have an article to read, and then there's an audio version of it. This article is related to Georgia Bragg's How We Croaked. You can read them in any order that you want to, but I will be going over this assessment with you today. You can work on this assessment today or tomorrow. It's sort of up to you if you want to read James Who from Georgia Bragg's How They Croaked before you read this article called How Doctors Killed President Garfield that you will be taking notes on. Okay. And so you have seen this page before. It's just one page of work. You've done this process before. If you notice on the second page, you will not be writing on this page. The second page is for me to assess you. Each of the criteria is worth 4 points, and there are 7 different areas, and it states there sort of what I'm looking for. So something I've given a few of you pointers about is that make sure when you write down what the article's about, you really talk about like the author's purpose. It isn't just about President Garfield, right? It is what the author is trying to convey, what the author wants us to know about this situation. So we tend to be able to figure some of that stuff out by looking at those emotionally charged words, trying to figure out what the purpose of this article is, right? When you write down who the main person is involved, it's fairly obvious that we're talking about President Garfield because it's in the title, but there has to be more information listed here in your summary notes. You need to record any information that signifies his importance, who he is, why he matters, why he was killed by doctors, maybe even. And you might want to put any other details that they give us about President Garfield that are relevant to sort of the point of the article, the author's purpose, right? Again, with where does the event take place, you want to keep in mind not just where it takes place, but what details about that location are important to note and that affected what happened. When does the event take place? When, time, and date. But also, what is important to know about that time in history? What about that time in history affected what happened in this article? Why does the event happen? The what? Why did it happen? Any details that are necessary for that? How did the event happen? And then your final thing, which is it isn't necessarily about the summary notes, but it is important and a skill we are also practicing, and that's being able to recognize emotionally charged words. So look for 3 of those. And you'll notice on the assessment, that second page there, I explain sort of what I'm looking for each of those. And for criteria 7, emotionally charged words, you can correctly identify 3 words that are emotionally charged and demonstrate the author's purpose. Okay, so that is the assessment. A couple reminders about assessments. Assessments are worth 50% of your grade. They are also required to pass. So if you are missing other assignments prior to this assessment, just do the assessment right now. Try your hardest on it. You can redo assessments too. So if you do the assessment and you don't like the score you got on it, you can redo it. So really take your time on the assessment. I am going to suggest that you pause this video now and do your assessment, or review this part of the video tomorrow when you do your assessment. All right, so let's look at a couple other things for this week that I want to go over with you on this part 1 video that you'll be finishing before Wednesday. So you're going to read James A. Garfield, James Who, and you'll notice here that it says James A. Garfield, James Who. There's a reason why it's called James Who. You'll find out when you read it. Now, there's also the audio version. If you are someone who's been using the audio version often, please make sure you also have the digital text in front of you so you can sort of follow along with your eyes and you can see the words that are being read. Okay, so the discussion questions that we're looking at, there's a little bit of complication with these this time. So this might take a little bit more thought, and this also has some opinions. So Charles J. Goodyear is the person who shoots President Garfield, as you will read. So as you're reading, I want you to keep in mind, how did that person get to President Garfield? How did he know where President Garfield was going to be? How was he able to get close enough to a president to shoot him? And how did he know where to go? Okay. Second question, what killed President Garfield? Think about what is the actual cause of death for President Garfield here. And then the third question, this one has a little bit of context here. The text in James Who, it says there are 3,200 special service agents assigned to protect the president, vice president, and their families, former presidents, and visiting heads of state. These are Secret Service agents currently. So this is more of a current fact. This is not about back when James Garfield was president. So in your opinion, do you think that is good use of federal funds? And then why do you believe that? Okay. So go ahead and pause the video now to read James Garfield and answer these questions, or do that tomorrow. All right, so now we are on to mentor sentence. I went over this pretty extensively with you last week, so I don't want to do it as much with you, but I want to give you a little bit of review, little reminder. So we're going to label the sentence, and I'm going to tell you the words that I have copied down here. You don't necessarily need a label up here. So you're going to just label, so a few of these. Garfield being a noun. Was is a verb. Oh, shoot, sorry, I pushed the wrong button. Don't know what just happened there. Was is a being verb, and bleeding is the other part of the verb, right? So you know that. And then all is a pronoun, over is a preposition, and the is an article. Okay, you should be able to label the rest of those with knowledge of your types of words. So we have conjunctions, pronouns, prepositions, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, okay? Now, when you look at the type of sentence, remember that we have simple sentences, which is what we had last week, which was just one subject-verb combo, one clause. If it has 2 clauses, you have to think, is it a compound or is it a complex sentence? So if it's a compound sentence, it's 2 clauses that both by themselves can stand on their own. And I'm going to help you on this one a little bit because you might not remember. Garfield was bleeding all over the place, period. That is a whole sentence that could stand on its own. He was still alive, period. Whole sentence that could stand on its own. Which means that this is a compound sentence. and there are 2 clauses. Okay. I want you to think about what their punctuation marks are there. There is a comma, there's a period. Why are they there? What do they signify about the paragraph? Or sorry, the sentence. And then what interesting features are there that make this sentence unique? Okay. Then, as usual, you're going to mimic the sentence by filling in the blanks with the same type of word as above. Also note that if, like, bleeding here is a verb that ends in ing, then make sure that your verb that you replace here also ends in ing, because that shows that it is past progressive. So was is a past tense verb. Bleeding, the ing makes it what was progressive, so it happened for a while. So you need not just a verb, but the same type of verb. Okay, and that's getting into a little bit more complexity with mentor sentences than we looked at before. So was bleeding is past progressive. So the new verb also needs to be past progressive. So was helping, singing, etc. Any verb that ends in ing, you're going to put there. Okay. So that's just another point I wanted to make, is that like last week's sentence had a lot of past tense verbs that ended in ed. So the verbs that you replaced in your mimic also need to end in ed, but they could be any verbs at all. Okay, so you have your assessment, answer sentence, and reading and 3 discussion questions to do before your next video on Wednesday. Good luck. You know how to find me.